and for Malika Andrews. Team USA comes out of pool play as a top-ranked team. Here's how the bracket looks right now. The U.S. has Brazil up first. They also avoid some tough competition in Canada, Germany, and France, and would only see one of those teams in a potential gold medal match. All right, as I mentioned, Christine Williamson here from Malika. We have a full squad here. Ramona Shelburne. We got Tim McMahon in the building, looking great. Love the tie. Great tie there. And of course, Brian Windhorst joining us live from Paris. Team USA practice this morning. Oh wait, so first I want to ask you this, Brian. You're not in Lille anymore. How's Paris? How do you feel about? Are you going to miss Lille at all?
I will miss Lille because it's a beautiful place, but this basketball tournament, that bracket that you just showed, I believe is the greatest international competition we've ever seen in basketball, and I can't wait for it to start tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. Okay, so as I mentioned, Team USA practice this morning. Here's Steph on the biggest challenge. Points, and he scored in the first 2 games of group play combined. Here's Steph Curry.
You still got to be ready for your next opportunity because you don't know where it's coming from game to game. We've had a different leading scorer, 3 games in the pool play every game, but I know at a certain point, like somebody's got to get hot in a close game, and whoever it is, you got to be ready for your moment. So whether that's me, whether it's whoever, that's the challenge of this team, to be ready, because every other team has a pretty much defined like pecking order of scoring.
All right, Wendy, obviously you're there in Paris. When you found out what Team USA has ahead of them, what was your reaction to the bracket?
Yeah, they got a pretty good draw. Now, this is one thing I got to explain real quick. It isn't a straight seeding. There's actually a draw that takes place, and your seed spot is what pot you're in. So long story short, the Team USA does end up on the opposite side of the bracket as Canada and Germany, who are the 2 undefeated teams in pool play other than them. Now, if you ask me, I still think Serbia is very dangerous to the U.S., and I know that's a tough sell because they've beat them by 20 twice already this summer. But if you look at the other side, France, Canada, and Germany, 3 very strong medal contenders, the Americans will only have to beat one of them to win the gold medal. So I guess it's a pretty good draw. By the way, the French are having some inter-team drama with some of their players talking back and forth with their head coach. So that's something to watch. One thing to point out about Serbia, and they got a tough situation with Australia, but Serbia was 0. Jokic was a 0 plus minus when they played the U.S. in that opening game of pool play. In the 9 minutes or 8 minutes, whatever it was, he was off the court. The score was 29-3. So if they play again, I don't think Jokic is going to leave the court too much. And so that's something to keep in mind.
I also thought Serbia looked really good against South Sudan. They needed to win that by a certain amount of points, and they really pushed the gas pedal down on that game. But I think if you're the U.S., you got to be so thrilled with this draw. Like, the 3 teams that you're worried about are all on the other side of the bracket, and I think you could not have asked for a better draw. I know, Brian, I agree with you that.
I mean, when you look at Canada, led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 10 NBA players on that roster. Obviously, with France, you've got Wemby and Gobert now. They've got issues. The backcourt's not so talented. No. That's a problem. And then Germany, the Wagner brothers. Dennis Schroeder's a phenomenal FIBA player, the defending World Cup champions. To only have to deal with one of those teams, that's a good draw for USA.
Wendy, I want to ask you this because you mentioned the fact that Serbia is a team that could kind of trip them up. What is the likelihood that Team USA doesn't make it out of this bracket?
I mean, I respect this competition. If you look at this, there's 13 NBA MVP trophies represented in this bracket. Now, most of them are on Team USA. 11 of the 15 All-NBA players from this past season are represented in this bracket. You have the Rookie of the Year, Victor Wembanyama. You have the Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. Yep. Like, this is a real challenge. They obviously are playing very, very well. One of the things I think that is they've got a great team spirit. They've got a great team-first attitude. They got 10 guys averaging 7 points. Nobody's averaging more than 10 shots a game. No, all those 10 guys, everybody's averaging at least 6. 3 different leading scorers, 3 different starting lineups. I think they got a lot going for them, but I respect this bracket a lot.
All right, let's narrow the focus a little bit. Team USA has to go through Brazil first. They play tomorrow. Here's what Steve Kerr said this morning.
Brazil is going to try to maul us on the glass. They're going to send a bunch of guys just try to steamroll us in there and get offensive rebounds and kick out threes, that sort of thing. So we got to be prepared for their physicality. They know what's at stake now, and it's about being locked in every possession, multiple efforts. They're going to make some mistakes, but if they keep playing, they can challenge a shot, get a deflection, make a play, and if they're all flying around for 40 minutes, then we feel good.
The Americans are a perfect 9-0 all-time in the Olympics against Brazil, their second most wins against any opponent in Olympic play. And they're 27.5-point favorites to advance to the semis on Tuesday, according to ESPN Bet. So Team USA is a heavy favorite. Brian, what would be the recipe for a potential upset tomorrow?
Yeah, well, I think you see this in one-off games in the NCAA tournament, extra possessions and three-point shooting, and that's actually what Brazil specializes in. They're the number one offensive rebounding team left in the tournament. They average 13 of those a game. By the way, the U.S. is giving up 14 offensive rebounds a game. That is their weakest thing really on their whole statistical portfolio, and that is problematic. Also, the Brazilians have the number one three-point shooting team left on the books. They're averaging 45% on threes. That said, they are not, by comparison to the U.S., a very talented team. They do not shoot well inside the three-point arc, and they're really sort of anemic offensively other than that three-pointer. So this is definitely a team the U.S. can handle, but there's a couple of facets that they do well that the U.S. is going to be challenged, and that's what Steve Kerr has been really reinforcing the last couple of days.
So should be a little bit of a test. By the way, NBA Today will be a pregame show tomorrow for that Olympic matchup. Now, the biggest moment of the Olympics this weekend had to be Noah Lyles taking gold in the men's 100 meter. If you didn't, he does have the best players in the world in the league, but Lyles blew up with those comments in 2023, and he can say that he backed it up a little bit by winning gold this weekend. Brian, where are you on the world champs debate?
Well, today is not the day to disagree with Noah Lyles. I'm going to say that right now. Does Noah Lyles regard himself as the world champion because he won the Olympics? If he does, then the U.S. is the champion because they've won the last 4 Olympics. I will say this. There's nuance here. I know nobody wants to hear nuance when it comes to arguments like this. They either want a hard yes or a hard no. The Boston Celtics, if the Boston Celtics were in this tournament, I think they'd have a very good chance to win it. Obviously, they'd be pulling some players off Team USA, but I think the Boston Celtics coming together, I think considering, what they do, I think they'd have a great chance to win it. So I'm not going to back down from the Celtics calling themselves world champs, and I don't think they should either.
I think the Celtics would be the second best team in the world if they were in this tournament because they would take those 3 guys off Team USA. I mean, they need Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Jason Tatum. Plus, they'd get Jaylen Brown and all those guys back. I don't know. The NBA has the best players in the world. Like, the last few MVPs have been international players.
I mean, we're arguing silly semantics here.
Yeah.
It is the best team in the world. It's the best league in the world with players around the world. World champions, who cares? But what it is silly semantics and phenomenal marketing by Noah Lyles, because as great as he is, nobody really knew who he was outside of the track world until he said this stuff.
Yeah. He talks a good game, and like I said, he absolutely backs it up. I know a few of the NBA players were actually at that race. We saw Josh Hart tweet during the race. So all eyes were definitely locked in, and as you mentioned him, nobody really knew who he was before, and then...
that race, though, we talk about this all the time about starting lineups. Brian, we've been talking about Team USA starting lineups. What Noah Lyles proved, it's not how you start, but how you finish, right?
Very true.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We talk about it? No?
We do. And the other thing, too, wasn't even his event. The 100 wasn't his strongest event.
He's a 200
guy.
He
has a 200. He made it to the finals, so we'll see what he does on Thursday in that. All right, Brian, thank you so much. Have fun in Paris.
Hello, fans. The United States' quest for a 5th consecutive Olympic gold medal in men's basketball continues. The U.S. dominated Puerto Rico on Saturday, 104-83, to round out a relatively straightforward group. The team also easily beat Serbia and South Sudan. The U.S. had already sealed its spot in the quarterfinals with a second win over South Sudan, but solidified its 1-8 seed with the Puerto Rico win. So who will the U.S. play next? Here's its reward for being the top-seeded team in every group. The U.S. will face Brazil in the quarterfinals of the Olympic men's basketball tournament in Paris on Tuesday, and a semifinal against Serbia or Australia awaits the Americans if they advance to the middle round. And the earliest the U.S. could see Germany, Canada, or France is the final. The other quarterfinal games on Tuesday, Victor Wembanyama and France will face Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Canada. Defending World Cup champion Germany will face Giannis Antetokounmpo and Greece, while reigning Olympic bronze medalist Australia drew a matchup with reigning NBA MVP Nikola Jokic and Serbia. Tuesday's losers are finished, and Tuesday's winners will play Thursday in the semifinals, with the winner of USA-Brazil set to face Serbia-Australia and the winner of Germany-Greece facing the winner of France-Canada. The gold and bronze medal games in Paris are next Saturday, the penultimate day of the Paris Games. Puerto Rico, Spain, South Sudan, and Japan were eliminated after the group stage. The U.S., 3-0, secured the number 1 overall seed, and, in theory, the easiest quarterfinal matchup on Saturday with its 104-83 win over Puerto Rico. They're all great teams, well coached, U.S. coach Steve Kerr said of the quarterfinals. But Brazil is our focus. Germany, 3-0, is the number 2 seed, finishing behind the U.S. for first place because of a point differential tiebreaker. The Americans outscored all 3 of their group stage opponents by 67 points. Germany outscored all 3 of their group stage opponents by 47 points. Canada, 3-0, is the number 3 seed, trailing both the US and Germany because it had only a point differential of more than 20 in the group stage. You hope to have a slightly easier team in the quarterfinals, Germany coach Gordy Herbert said of finishing with a high seed coming out of the group stage. But I don't think you really do because all the teams here are very good. The key matchup on Tuesday will almost certainly be France-Canada. France lost the group final to Germany on Friday night, a defeat that meant the hosts were drawn in a significantly tougher draw than they would have otherwise. And now France must beat an undefeated Canada team or else they will not medal in Paris in what will be a huge disappointment. I think we all have goodwill, good energy, Wembanyama said. But now I think we have to trust the coach more, just trust our teammates more, and do the little things that don't show up on the stat sheets, setting screens, boxing, all that. France coach Vincent Collet said his team can use Canada's higher seeding to its advantage. Now, it's even. We'll be 0-0 on Tuesday, Collet said. They have more to lose than we do in this position. It's a tough draw for Canada, too. It hosts the home team and Wembanyama just to have a chance to advance. Canada hasn't won a medal at the Olympics since winning the silver medal in 1936, an infamous 19-8 loss on an outdoor court in a rainstorm to the US. We've played a lot of really good teams, and we've beaten them all, Gilgeous-Alexander said. There are some things we can clean up for sure, but we'll take it. The U.S. men's basketball team has looked dominant so far at the Olympics as it seeks its 5th consecutive gold medal. It will be fun to see if any country can give this star-studded roster a real challenge. Stay tuned for more updates on your favorite team and players, and be sure to support us by leaving your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to know when I send new news. Thank you for following NBA News on TV. A hug and see you next time.